Thank you, everyone, for taking the time out of your day to join us for our special 3-day series of Share, Solve, Evolve during National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Today's topic is Mastering 911 Skills, Skills Training, and Technology for the Future. With us today, we have Mary Mulvey from Aurora 911 and Cori Loos, also from Aurora 911. Our host today is Jeremy DeMar. Jeremy, I'm going to kick things over to you. Oh, actually, really quick, sorry, forgot. If you guys have any questions throughout the session today or comments, please use the Q&A feature located in the top middle panel of your Teams app. We will do our best to address questions as they come in, but if time, is short, we will address them towards the end of today's session. All right, Jeremy, now it's actually back over to you.
All right. No, you got it in there. So that was good. That was perfect. Well, thank you so much, Marie. And shout out also to Stephanie, my other colleague. Both Marie and Stephanie are just awesome at all things relative to this effort. So super excited to have you all here. So just wanted to check just to make sure I've got it because I'm still showing the master slide up in the screen here. Do we have Cori and Mary? Are you guys all seeing Cori and Mary in the main screen? I still see a title screen.
That's it.
On our end, it shows that chat and Q&A is turned off.
Okay. Do you guys see yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. As long as you see yourself. I'm still seeing a title screen on my end, so that's fine. All right. This is the beauty of live sessions, folks. You never know what you're going to get when you come in here. So anyways, I'm going to assume you can see me and you can see Mary and Cori. That's the important part. Welcome to day 2 of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week celebration here at Intrado, day 2 of the Share, Solve, Evolve webinar series. Now Mary and Cori are on my screen, so it feels a little better than looking at a title slide and talking to a title slide. So welcome to both of you. Super excited to have you here. Marie gave some logistics. I'm going to go through a couple of housekeeping things after that, but there's a couple of quick things I want to do to kind of kick off day 2. I mentioned during yesterday's session we did with Melissa and Dominique from Cobb County 911. We had a great session yesterday, but I mentioned during that session that I had the fortune prior to joining Intrado of being a part of 3 different emergency communications organizations. So yesterday I recognized the first one, which was my forever first 911 home in Rochester, New York. That was the Emergency Communications Department. Today, I'm going to recognize Springfield Emergency Communications. That is currently where I still live. I don't live in the SEC. I live at home. But in January of 2018, I took my first directorship with SEC, with Springfield Emergency Communications. So I want to reach out to all of them today. Hope you're having an amazing National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And I just hope the rest of the week goes really well for you as well. I also want to give a quick shout out to one of my very dear friends in her organization. Many of you probably know her already. It is Tracy Eldridge with On Scene First. And she has an amazing organization that does incredible things also for the 911 space. Again, Intrado is an event sponsor for her event, but she is doing a week-long celebration Sunday to Saturday of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And the cool thing about her event, she's giving away a ton of prizes. So if you haven't registered for this particular session or you haven't sat in on any of her things, I think they start at 5 o'clock at night or something like that, Eastern. But she's giving away a ton of cool things. So I would highly encourage you to check her out. And just a lot of fun, just doing a lot of fun things for 911. So in any event, I like to get those things out of the way. As Maria already indicated, if you do have any questions, comments, anything that you want to contribute to the conversations we're going along today, please drop them into the Q&A field. We'll get to see that. And it doesn't just have to be a question. We were talking about this just prior to going on today. If you have things that you want to contribute about things that are going on in your center relative to what we're talking about or how you guys and gals are doing things, we want to hear about that as well. But the Q&A feature is there to allow you to do that. So with all that, let me come back to Mary and Cori and again, echo the fact that I'm so appreciative that you're both here. I know that my dear friend Tina and your boss might be watching us. So I don't know if I'm feeling more intimidated or you're feeling more intimidated, but we'll try to do a really good job for her today to make sure that she's happy with what we do. But anyways, I'm thrilled that you're both here, that Tina, gave you guys the time to come on here and really just share with the rest of the country that's going to be watching this from a 911 standpoint, how you guys are celebrating the week. So let me start with introductions, and then we'll go into some of the other questions. So Mary, do you want to go first?
Sure. Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to be joining this webinar today. And my name is Mary Mulvey. I've been with Aurora 911 Communications for just a little over a year. April 8th, a year ago is when I started. I had no previous experience in emergency communications or this industry. I actually came from the corporate world, close to 30 years of doing leadership development, career management, sales leadership, and got tired of the corporate world and always had an interest in this and had a personal experience where I actually was able to save an individual using a two-way radio in the middle of Southern Ontario, Canada, where a person was having a heart attack. Wow. And because of that personal experience, I had been thinking about what else I wanted to do. And that personal experience really led me to doing some networking and talking to several different agencies. And based upon the reputation of Aurora 911 and talking to other individuals and being fortunate enough to be selected, I am now here with 911 following my passion. So excited to be here today.
I love that. Well, I'll start by saying I'm excited, thankful for the fact that you were there for that individual that was experiencing a medical emergency in Canada. But all kidding aside, when you said you joined 911 after 30 years on the private side, I'm like, it probably wasn't for the less stress or better hours, I'm guessing. That probably wasn't, I hope that wasn't part of your motivation for coming here, but.
I actually do have less stress, believe it or not.
Okay. I always say it's a different kind of stress, right? So it depends on how that works out. But we're so happy to have you here. I'm happy that you were there for that individual, and I can't wait to hear more about what you have to say today. So thanks, Mary. Cori?
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here this morning. My name is Cori Loos. I've been with Aurora 911 for about a year and a half as an operations supervisor. I've been in the law enforcement and 911 industry for 20 years in various roles. I was a deputy and a dispatcher elsewhere, a supervisor elsewhere, but ultimately I landed at Aurora 911 based off of their core values and the vision of the agency. And I'm just so happy to be here with you all today.
So you were a deputy for a while, and then you said, you know what, I want to be a part of the an even more incredible public safety profession. So you decided to come over to 911. I'm not, the beautiful thing about the work that we're in is that, we can joke around with our fellow public safety partners all the time. And I have many law enforcement, fire, and EMS friends that I still talk to today. And I'm sure the two of you are in a similar set of circumstances, but we like to joke around with one another every once in a while. But Cori, super glad to have you here, and you have your perspective and experience as part of the conversation today. So let me kind of kick it off, because this series this week is about National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Actually, before I do that, I just had another thought. If you've been a part of Share, Solve, Evolve before, yes, this is the way I go. It's like, bird, and I go off in a different direction. But if any of you watching have been a part of Share, Solve, Evolve before, you're probably accustomed to the format being a little bit more formal than this, because we are celebrating National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, and I'm hanging out with some 911 friends. We're going to be a little bit looser today. We're going to kind of try to have a little bit fun, make it a little bit more back and forth, a little more interesting. So the format's going to be slightly different. But as we're going through the session today, obviously I want to continue to encourage all of you to contribute and be a part and tell us, what's going on in your centers and how you guys are celebrating the week. But coming back to Cori and Mary, before we jump into some of the other questions related to today's theme, which is skills, training, and technology, how is Aurora celebrating or recognizing National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week this week? What are some of the things you guys are doing to recognize your team and their efforts?
Oh my gosh, where do we begin?
I know.
It's quite a bit. So Cori actually leads our culture committee, and I'm a part of that committee. And we've been planning for this for quite a while. And the events kicked off on Sunday. And hopefully you don't hear noise in the background, but the police department today has been up. They've sponsored today, where they brought in all sorts of food. everyone's been on the floor talking to everybody, but there's been all sorts of activities. Each day there's been daily things that have been going on. I'll let Cori talk a little bit about some of the planning that we've done. And I think we're going to gain about 10 pounds by the time the week is over.
I agree. It's been a really fun process planning this celebration week. It's basically the culmination of our whole year, right? But ultimately, we're very focused all year long on small appreciation, large appreciation throughout the entire year. We have several points throughout the year that we hold events and or appreciate one another, but also just daily we appreciate one another. And it's just at the core of who we are. And this week is more about just honing in on that and really showcasing that and inviting our agency partners to join in on that celebration as well. So we have some really fun events. We have a lot of dress up days. But mostly it's about really just appreciating one another and showing gratitude. We do a lot of cooking this week where we cook for one another.
Hence the 10 pounds reference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And through our efforts throughout the year with the small events that we've had, we have some really great raffle prizes this year. And ultimately it's just showing showing each other how much we care about one another and the appreciation for the work that we do every day. That's at the core of everything.
I love that. And, some of the centers that I've talked to this week and other directors and leaders that I've talked to, where was I? Actually, I think I was on Tracy's. We kind of kicked off her thing on Sunday night. But one of the things that came up during the course of that conversation was, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week is a specific week of recognition for the 911 profession as a whole. But this is something that a lot of centers have really adopted or are trying to adopt to do all year long, right? So we've got 1 week of recognition, which we absolutely appreciate. And that's really when it's no holds barred. I mean, everything comes out. We're getting it from all different directions and it's great. But some of the most progressive, productive, and forward-thinking centers are going out of their way, Cori, to your point, to make sure that the celebration isn't restricted to just one particular week. So the very best centers, the very best leaders are taking that approach throughout the year to make sure that their folks are recognized. So I love that. That's awesome. Which kind of brings me in, and again, keep in mind the folks that are going to be watching this session today, this came up during yesterday's session as well. We have folks from all different walks of life that will be viewing the session, right? Some from what we like to call the NFL city sizes, where you've got these huge, colossal 911 centers with lots of different team members and lots of consoles and lots of calls, all the way down to your 1 and 2 seat centers, which the gross majority of centers across the country are these smaller 3 and 4 seat centers. So what we generally try to do is we're making recommendations, and Mary and Cori, I'll ask you to do that as well, is we'll try to frame it up a little bit so that we can kind of give you recommendations, especially if you're here saying, hey, I want some ideas on how to better celebrate or how to recognize my folks. We'll try to align it with all 3 levels, right? So it's not just about having a big, gigantic budget, though that's nice. It's not just about having that. We recognize that not everybody has that, but we'll try to frame the discussion in such a way that it touches everybody. But so no, I appreciate both of you sharing that. Mary, I want to come back to you for a second. I mean, again, coming back from 30 years on the side that I'm now on, right? So you and I kind of went, we were kind of passing on the horizon there or something like that. But so you left, the private side of this, not really working in a discipline that was public safety, I'm guessing, and then came into this particular realm. From a skills standpoint, since the theme of today is about skills, training, and technology, we know that training is a pivotal part of, becoming a 911 professional. I mean, the first center that I was a part of, I think I was in training all in. I was a dispatcher. We also did calls. So I think I was in training for like 9 months. By the time I got certified, it was like a 9-month process. Some centers are less, some centers are more. But can you talk a little bit about kind of what your expectations were coming into this, especially after a 30-year career on the private side, coming into this? What were your thoughts on training and what you were going to expect?
Coming into it, I didn't know what to expect other than that I would be going through an academy, which was a period of 3 months, I believe. And I was deer in headlights, not knowing the lingo, not knowing the industry at all. There was a lot of information to absorb. But I have to say, going through the academy gave me the foundation that I needed to set me up for success. But I want to back up a little bit before we dive right into the skills part, because I think it's important. We're talking today about the skills, the training, and the technology. Those are the tools, the resources that support the foundation of what's really at the heart of a 911 communication center, and that's the people. And so backing that right up to before even joining and getting in and having the right skill set, it's really looking at what were the type of people that were being selected by Aurora 911 to join the team. And it aligns around the foundational 4 that we have not only as a city, but within the communication center itself of teamwork, respect, compassion, and integrity. Looking for individuals who have those core elements as people themselves. Then from there, looking, if you sort of take a Venn diagram and you say, okay, you've got the skills, you've got the training and the technology, how do those align around the people? That's really where the focus is. So if you talk about the skill sets coming in, it was a rigorous hiring process. It was about a 3-month hiring process. I told several people I never felt so violated in my life as the types of questions that were asked, whether it was from, the police investigators to the lie detector test. It's just never had experienced that from a corporate perspective before. But they put you through that intense process to really make sure they're honing in and getting the right people. Because, what I found out very quickly coming into the centers, they're not just looking for butts and seats. They're looking for individuals who are going to be committed to this, and because it's a two-way process. Not only are they looking for individuals who are going to be committed, but the time and resources and training they're putting into people to make sure they're going to develop them and set them up for success. That's what was key. So coming in, some of those key skills, yeah, absolutely. You've got to be able to multitask. You've got to be able to have strong listening skills, strong communication skills, strong problem solving skills. I mean, if you don't have those, you're not going to be successful. But it's taking those then and really honing and developing those further is what is key. And so the focus is, yes, you've got to have those skills, but it's all about the people. And that's one thing that Tina in the center, I noticed from day one, is it's not about the training. It's not about the, newest and coolest technology or gadgets. The focus is from the leadership team, from Cori and the other supervisors. It's all about how do you take care of the people? Because once you've spent that time and money investing in the people, you've got to be able to retain them.
Love that. Cori, anything you want to?
I everything that Mary said, right? If you ever look at our job postings, it's very stated, very clear who we are and who we are looking for. And then, the tools that we provide them in the academy to prepare them is just everything. And then from that, they're able, it's such the process, we're always in a constant state of learning. So we don't say, hey, we're done with learning now. Everything is centered around learning. And we encourage that, and we have everything is open door. If you have questions, we're open to that. We have an entire team that if there's something that we need to look into further, we provide those resources almost immediately. If there's something that someone is struggling with, we will make sure that is a priority for them, to make sure that we get with our professional development team and give them those skills and the way that they receive it, because that's important. It's just our entire process, and the way that we train and give our team the resources it's just top tier. It's a cut above, I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think the fact that you mentioned as part of the onboarding process, or I'm sure as part of just the application process, really kind of telling people what they can expect. We can do this outstanding job as administrators and leaders in the space, painting the picture for the type of work that's going to be done. But it's not until these folks come in and start sitting down and start going through the process that they really realize just how intensive this is in a lot of ways. So, Mary, you were kind of in a unique situation. I mean, 30-year professional coming in. And so I think a lot of the skills that probably some of the brand new folks that are maybe, we know a lot of the folks that join our profession for the first time. A lot of them, it's a first job out of high school for a lot of people, which when you think about that versus someone like yourself that had, 30 years of experience coming into it, it in some ways for me, it makes me think that we have as an industry, because we have such a wide if we cast that net wide, we know we're going to get a lot of people that are going to be interested in joining the profession, but we're also going to get a variety of different experience types coming in, which I think from a training standpoint, you kind of have to cater to that, right? I think, certainly when I joined the profession well over 20 years ago, the training was very much, this is it. And it doesn't matter what your learning style is. It doesn't matter whether you're a hands-on or a listening, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and this is what you're going to do. And there's these expectations. But I think what we've seen, and based on what the two of you are describing, certainly in Aurora and some of the other centers, we're starting to adapt to different learning styles, right? I think in some ways you have to, and I don't want to turn this into a generational conversation, but I can say those of us, I remember when I started, I was one of the young guys. I feel like I'm not the young guy anymore, but as a Gen Xer, I had certain expectations when I started, but our Gen Ys and Gen Zs, I mean, I've got my three kids, right? One 22 to 29. I mean, they're definitely in that demographic. What they are expecting, what they're looking for when they start out in a career, whatever it happens to be, it may be completely different from what I expected when I walked in. So, Cori, are you able to talk a little bit about kind of how you've tailored? I mean, is there a lot of tailoring in the way that you're presenting the training, or how are things customized? Are they customized?
Absolutely. So I think I come from a similar time where everything is presented in a way like, this is the way that it's done. Here's your mic, sink or swim, right? Like that's what it was back then, sink or swim. And I think here at Aurora, right, the reason that a lot of us people lateral here, we choose to come here because this agency has a vision, right? And we all want something better for the 911 industry. And so a lot of laterals end up here because of that vision.
Yeah.
And because of that commitment. And with that comes that commitment to training and realizing people are individuals and we have to meet them where they are. People have different learning styles, and our professional development team is excellent. Mm-hmm. They are always finding new ways to integrate different learning styles. This new academy, for instance, where we have a brand new platform that they're implementing that is caters to everyone and links to our policies, and everything is just everyone has, because of the way that everyone learns, right? We're all individuals, we all learn differently. When we can hone in on that, we can make sure that everyone's needs are met. And our professional development team is excellent at that. They do a lot of finding out exactly who people are, and then based off of that, knowing what direction, what to take. Mm-hmm. Is this person a visual person? Is this person that needs hands-on experience? And we offer all of that within the academy. We have scenarios, we have actors that we have a lot of one-on-one like pretend 911 calls, but that were actually real calls, but we use our team to act out those scenarios, and it's very real, so that they're getting that experience. But also, we just have these wonderful materials, and we have a team that has these visuals that are just wonderful, and that cater to every learning style. And it's something great to see, and see that anyone from any walk of life can come in and know that they're going to be set up for success, and that we're invested in that success. And it's something that I'm just incredibly proud of.
I think Mary saw me smile a little bit there when you started talking about the scenarios. I can remember some of the times being in training class, not only is somebody being trained, but of course, I was one of the first to raise my hand and said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go in and help out the new people with some scenarios." And we just did some really crazy, just goofy stuff. I mean, you want to have a good time with it, and I would imagine you're doing a lot of those same things as well. But when you started talking about the scenarios, I started thinking about those days in training, and I'm like, what kind of crazy stuff are they going to come up with today? But Cori, you talked a little bit about the professional development team, and I'm not sure which one of you wants to speak to this, but we're talking about three different areas today, right? With skills training and technology. So, are either of you able to speak to how you're leveraging different types of technology to assist, maybe in the training process or in skills development? What are some ways that Aurora is kind of working in this space to make sure that retention, the retention is there, people are walking away with those skills, they're retaining them afterwards? And I mean, are you able to speak to anything technology wise that you guys are doing?
Technology wise, I mean, we are exactly what I just expressed with like this new platform that they're using to help them guide through this academy. But throughout that, a big part of our process is like once we're out on the floor, our QA process is a big part of that as well. And that technology, I mean, we use that, right? And then at the core of that is our people. We make sure that we have those one-on-one meetings, not as like a negative thing, but as a like, hey, this is what we're doing great. This is something that we notice. And then based off of that, we use our resources, and all of that is honed to each individual. And everyone knows that that's an open door. If they have something that they need, that they would like to talk about, it's leveraged in that way. And our professional development team, they use so many different programs to get these visuals out and to make sure like we have these wonderful videos. And it's just, it's something, it's amazing, honestly. Their skills, their skill set, and everything that they bring to the table truly makes our entire floor thrive.
Yeah, and I would say, and to add to that with the technology, I think about, call taking, and I've been training on services. One of the things they've developed, and it's simple, but it's so helpful. For example, we call it a handy address book, and it's basically a walking encyclopedia of everything you ever need to know as far as who to contact, what's their phone number, what hours are they open, how do you get this information, who do you go to? That's just one little piece of resources available as far as having access to training tools. But then you think about, like just last month, one of the call takers had said, I really need some clarity around deaths. And how do you code those? And when do you code it as this versus that? And she had approached the professional development team, and they put together a session, hands-on session, where we brought in our laptops and we went through various scenarios. They outlined first as far as what was, how to define all of this and make sure we had a clear understanding of what are those criteria that are met, because we do use EMD and EFD, and we're going to be going on to EPD here shortly. Everyone's going through that training right now. But as you go through that scenario for deaths and how do you code those and how do you walk through EMD with that, what are different scenarios? And then sort of going through those and having us role play in those scenarios. And then at the end, reinforcing that by not taking a formal quiz, but by answering a lot of the questions to make sure there was clarity around that training once we went through it. Now, we all went through that training previously, but for some, it's been years. For others, it's brand new. And so just taking various topics where people are saying, you know what, I need additional information on this, or a refresher training. The professional development team is so open to those. So it's not just a one-way street where they're saying, hey, we're going to give this to you. It's also that two-way communication of the people on the floor saying, this is what we need. And then developing then a tool or a training around that particular area of focus. So Leveraging the technology is certain an aspect of it, but it's really about how to adapt that training to meet the needs of whether you're an auditory, a visual, or a kinesthetic learner. The professional development team does that. So not just in the academy, but even when you're out of the academy, it's not where it's 3 months and they let you go on the floor. From there, then we have what we call CTOs or trainers who sit there and they're right beside you. Yeah. With the headsets on, listening and helping you. And one of the things I experienced on my own professionally of going through this was them asking me, what's your learning style? So it wasn't just, okay, here's how I'm going to train you. It was them asking me, how do you learn best? What style is best for you? And then adapting their training style to flex and to meet my style.
I think there's some people out there right now watching. Boy, I sure wish my trainer asked me that question because, but again, this is a great example of, just things changing for the better in our industry, in our profession, right? What at one time was a very structured, non-deviating methodology for training has turned into, how can I help you better learn and retain the skills? So I'm super excited to see that. I'm super excited to hear that. I hope others that are on here as well are equally as jazzed about that. And I always tell folks, if you need to chat with one of us, and I'm gonna volunteer the two of you, and I know Tina would be more than willing to help as well. But for those of you that are watching today that maybe aren't from centers that are as developed or don't have the resources, you can reach out to any of us at any time, and we're happy to share those ideas with you about how to work that. But one of the other points I wanted to make, and I do have a couple more, and I also recognize it's already 2:32, so we do have to kind of move along. But safe to say, some of what you were talking about from a training standpoint, if somebody identifies an area that they're weak in or that they feel they need a little brush up or review, that there's other people in the center that probably fall into that same category. Continuing dispatch education is a big part of what we do. Hopefully nobody joins this profession thinking, I'm going to go in and get 2 months of training and then that's it. I just sit there. No, it's a constant. There's always those kind of things. So your professional development team, are they also responsible for creating CDEs and making sure that those are going out to everybody?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
They get that out to everyone. And just like Mary indicated with this last training, usually if one person has a concern or a question, there's more than one person.
Oh, yeah.
So then they develop that, right? They hone in on that. They will develop an entire training based off of that and roll it out. And they usually, and just like we had that, we had a whole day where we bring everyone from the floor into a training room with the laptops. We filter them in and out so that everyone has that experience and that training, and everyone that can get those questions answered. So everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because you got a room full of type A's and they're like, one person has the courage to ask, well, how do you do this? And then the instructor says, who else doesn't know how to do this? Oh yeah, we're all going to raise our hand and do that. So I think, giving people the ability to kind of say it quietly, yeah, okay. So if one person is outspoken enough or brave enough to say, hey, I'd like a little bit more on this, good chance somebody else has that as well. I'm sorry, Mary, were you going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, it's actually, you talk about that, but I haven't experienced that here at all. No. And maybe it's different with other centers because the culture here is one of constant learning. And that's one of the reasons I love this center so much is I'm never going to run out of things to learn. Whether it's moving on to police dispatching or fire dispatching, there's always opportunities for learning, and it's encouraged to come forward and say, what do you need? And I'll give you a personal example. I had gone through the academy, had gone through the training, and had a little bit of what I would call a PTSD episode my first week of training, where I had a guy die on me on a 911 call. Well, he was already dead, but I didn't know it at the time. But it sort of was like a little bit of a trigger for me. And even though I had gone through of how to handle, not breathing, not conscious type of call, I approached the professional development team and said, I don't feel comfortable if I get a person on the line that I'm feeling comfortable enough to walk them through what I need to do. Can I get some additional training on this? And they were like, Absolutely. I mean, it was within a day of approaching them that they're like, absolutely, let's come in. And they sat down with me, and I got to go through it not only with them, but then walk through some of it on my own with them there and answered any questions that I had. So I really felt it was more of a culture of absolutely, we're wide open. Don't feel like you don't know it or afraid to ask. It's more of an environment which I embrace fully of, if you need information, we're here for you and you come get it. And
Yeah.
it's a two-way street,
And it takes everyone.
and it does. It's the whole team. It's not just professional development. It was talking to my supervisor and saying, here's what I need, and then talking to the professional development team. So it really is around creating that culture within the center to feel like you can get what you need. You just have to ask for it, and don't feel ashamed to ask for it or feel dumb that you don't know it or that you need to know more.
And I think the culture in the agency has a lot to do with that, right? That has a lot to do with whether or not somebody is willing to raise their hand and ask a question versus I'm just going to hope somebody else asks it and I get my answer that way. So
Exactly.
I want to reach out to Marie and Stephanie quick and just make sure. Have either of you, have we had any questions come in on Q&A? I'm looking at the screen here, but I'm not necessarily seeing anything. Just wanted to check in with both of you and see.
Yeah, double checking. Just a moment. Apologies, my Teams is loading very slowly to switch over to Q&A.
And this is a conversation about technology, right? So.
It sure is, yeah. Okay, so here's a question. How quickly can new 911 staff expect to become proficient with all the tech tools required for the job? I think this blends perfectly with what you guys were just talking about in terms of training.
Yeah, so brand new 911 person coming in. Marie, I know we grilled you a little bit about it or not Marie. We grilled Mary about it first coming in, but what are the two of you think? Somebody maybe considering the job for the first time, but just a little overwhelmed thinking it's going to be too much. How would you reassure that person?
Making sure, my advice would be, because I joke around all the time saying, you can't teach old dogs new tricks. I sort of look at it from the perspective of the tortoise and the hare. You've got the young folks coming in who are very tech savvy and they get it in a heartbeat, but yet the experience isn't behind them versus someone who's got the experience, but not necessarily all the technology. And the beauty of it is through the academy, they teach or have that foundation. So we get the hands-on experience with the technology, but we also have the safety net there of the trainers to ensure that if we do have questions while we're using it, until they really let us loose on our own, that there's a resource there to help us. But I would say it comes with time. I mean, it literally took me a good 6 months to where I felt, I wouldn't say extremely comfortable, but comfortable with all the technology to where it's like, okay, it's not going to take me 20 minutes to log into a system. I got this down now, where I can do it in 5. And so it takes time, but I also think it's part of the culture is setting the expectation of you don't have to be perfect on day 1.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is a learning curve. There is a time frame that it takes. And, if you will get there, it just takes time.
Yeah. It's hard to put a number on that, right? It's really hard to put a number on that. But I would say, like, depending on which agency someone is with, right? For us, I think the foundations of those critical skills with technology come within that first 3 months. And then like that 3 to 6 month mark is really honing in on that. But ultimately, we're always in a constant state of learning and upgrading with the new technology and keeping up with that and making sure that everyone is being brought to that level as well.
Yeah, and I think if you're coming into this profession thinking technology is not going to be a part of it, maybe it's not the best place for you to try to. I mean, it's what it's all about. Just one final reminder here for everybody. So our sessions usually go an hour. We had a 15-minute push in here for a total of 45 minutes. So I'm officially at the 5-minute mark. So I'm going to start to go into wrap up here. By the way, I wanted to say, are those like notification pendant posts behind you that you guys have retrofitted with some kind of glitter thing going on there? I'm looking behind Mary, and there's
Oh, they're Tina's lights.
They're glitter lights.
Oh, they look like the posts that you have on the floor that indicate somebody needs help at a console, but you've turned them into some kind of glitter fest or something.
No, they kind of do look like that, but they're glitter lights.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have
It's
to ask.
obvious.
I'm gonna have to ask Tina to tell me what's on Amazon so I can get a set for myself. But we'll have to. One final question for the two of you to kind of close things up, and this is in relation to professional development. One of the things I know, especially early on in my career, I got interested very, very quickly in going and looking at conferences and trying to learn as much as I could. What is Aurora's position on that? Does professional development have a push or kind of an incentive for folks to go to national, regional, statewide conferences? How's that working out for you guys?
We do send folks to national and regional conferences. However, I think that we are focusing more on bringing quality training to us. We still do send folks to conferences, and that's great. We love doing that. And it's usually people from our floor, right? And sometimes it's leadership, but most of the time it's our people on the floor to get them those critical learning opportunities that they need. But ultimately, we place value on bringing quality training to us in terms of things that align with our culture. We have great relationships with Adam Tim and Joe Serio, Ricardo Martinez, and we really focus on bringing that kind of quality training that aligns with what we need here, and that is our big focus moving forward.
Yeah.
Love that you're bringing them in. Go ahead, Mary.
But I would add to that of, when you have conferences, you can only send a few. You can't send the entire.
Yeah, a little pricey.
Yeah, a little pricey. And so the focus of let's make sure we're providing training to all versus to a select few.
Yeah.
That's where shifting the focus, still using the conferences, but shifting the focus to bringing it in-house, having the professional development team to create a lot of curriculum and courses, but also then bringing the outside speakers in to where we can have everyone included. That really makes a difference and an impact where it's not just for a few, but for all.
For everyone.
Yeah, and I love how you guys, you mentioned Joe and Adam and Ricardo. I love all three of those guys. I feel like I see them all the time while we're on the road together, but not just solely relying on things that you've used for the last 10 or 15 years, but going outside to get a new, fresh approach on training. That's awesome. As we go into closing, because unfortunately all good things must come to an end. When the two of you think about skills training and technology, again, recognizing that we have audiences, a variety of different size and shape, centers across the country. If you guys could give any final recommendations to these folks about not only how they can better recognize National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, but maybe how they could improve in the skills training and technology. If you had to kind of sum it up in a minute, how would you do that?
I would say that it starts with your people. It starts with your people and honing in on those skills and giving them the opportunities and a seat at the table. A seat at the table so that everyone feels seen and heard, and using everyone's different skills and abilities to enhance the things that we offer, such as resources, skills, and training. When you give your people what they need and you give them the training that they need, they want to share that heart of that information with everyone. And that's at the core of us. We all want to be better. We all want to leave something better. And that's ultimately what we're doing.
I love that. Thanks, Cori. Mary?
I would say in this industry, learning is a constant. And whether it's doing it on your own and taking the initiative, going and taking some of the courses through NINA or IAED, having the constant want to learn and take on more and learn more, and always being receptive and open to new technology, new ideas from other centers. I know Tina is constantly out there talking to other centers and finding what's the best of the best and what can be incorporated in a center. So being open to new ideas, new training, and just always having the ear to the ground of what's the latest and greatest technology. May not be something that gets implemented, but knowing what's out there. So, knowing what's available is half the game, and then deciding whether or not you're going to implement it. That's how you keep the center moving forward.
And making sure that you have fancy glitter lights in the background. So whenever you're doing
and also you need a disco ball.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have to call Tina. We're gonna have to have a conversation about that. That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you both for spending some time. It seems like we never have enough time to get through these, and we just moved through this one really quick today. But you both have just been awesome. And I want to say to everybody out there that maybe if you're watching this for the first time, you haven't been on Share, Solve, Evolve. First of all, I want to thank you for being here today. I also want to wish you a happy National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. But I want to make sure you understand as well that Share, Solve, Evolve is a monthly webinar series sponsored by Intrado that features folks like Mary and Cori and other all walks of life in the 911 space talking about pain points and challenges in the 911 space. So we have a whole bunch of recordings online if you want to go back and look at something we've talked about. We've got some really cool stuff coming up in the future, so pay close attention to that. But I want to thank Marie and Stephanie, my two sidekicks who always help things go seamlessly in the background. They are just so awesome. But Mary and Cori and Tina, I know you're still watching, so we're going to give you a shout out as well. Thank you all for being here today and for being a part of this special Share, Solve, Evolve series. A reminder for those of you watching today, we have one more session tomorrow. It's going to air at 2 p.m. Eastern, and that is going to be with Terry Goswick's a couple of folks from his center down at NTEC, the North Texas Emergency Communications Center. Super excited to be closing out the week with him. Hopefully we'll have just as fun of a conversation as I did with Mary and Cori today. But on behalf of the entire Intrado team and Marie and Stephanie, thank you all for being here today, and I hope you have an exceptional rest of your National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.